Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am back to do a bit of Easter crafting. I can't believe that Easter is almost upon us, and I've been wanting to have a go at an idea I had when I was putting together some little miniature like cup rests using these Dresden plates that I got from Epiflex. So I like to use the Epiflex templates. They're an Australian business. I'm not sponsored by them. I just love them because they're reusable, re-washable, and you can use them with Yoo-hoo glue as your sort of tacking glue, and it gives you a really sharp, lovely finish. Anyway, I was making the little cup rests, and I had the idea that I'd be able to turn them into a three-dimensional shape by joining them somewhat like this and somewhat to another section of them to make something that might resemble an egg shape. Anyway, I've made a prototype while I've been on holidays, and I thought I'd share the making with you. So these Dresden plates I got as part of a set of a whole lot of different Epiflex templates. They're about 18 Australian dollars, I think, and they were put together for the Owl and Hollow block of the month. So I'll include a link to them. I'm not sure if Epiflex sells them separately, but you could always email them, and I'm sure they'd let you know. And then I've just made myself a little circle for the top and the bottom. This one I did sort of sitting a bit out from the egg. This one I've inset into the egg. I was thinking if I hang it up, then I'll probably have this one as the top of my egg. And I've used just some mini charm squares, complete with Travis hair, from Moda Country Rose by Lella Boutique, I think it is. And so they're the very smallest charm squares, but they're the perfect size to be able to cut across on the diagonal of them and fit in this particular pointed Dresden plate, which I think is a 2-inch, but I'll include a link to the site anyway, so you can look it up. And probably not that easy to see against the white. So when I cut them out, I just lay them across the charm square like that. Okay. So I thought I'll make one of the Dresden plates with you. I'll then stitch it onto the one that doesn't yet have 7 on it, which is this one, because I've worked out to make a nice egg shape I need about 7 around, and then they fit together beautifully as well. I'm assuming you could do it with your own Dresden plates. I've just noticed I've got a loop in my thread, but that's okay, I'll stitch that down. But you'd probably just have to lay it out and see if it would work. So when I do mine, I just put some Yoo-hoo glue around the edge once it's cut out. So I've got Travis sitting behind me on the couch here. He's having an afternoon nap. So I'm just sort of propped on the edge of the couch, not my normal setup because we're still on holidays in lovely Alpine Victoria. So let me just create this one here, and Lucy dog is over on the other end of the couch, my parents' dog. She's having a nice little scratch. So you've got all the dog's sounds. You'll probably get Travis snoring soon because he's happily sleeping away behind me. So it doesn't really matter what order you go around in. I tend to just mix it up a bit. The great thing about the Yoo-hoo is it doesn't create a really strong bond, so it can be loosened off when you want to flick the templates out at the end. And as I say, the templates are fully washable and fully reusable many times over. I've already used them a lot and they're not showing any bad wear or anything. So I'll just put my Yoo-hoo glue away. So usually at this point I'd just let it all dry, but because we're going to be stitching, but what I might do is just let that dry for a few moments while I stitch together this piece. Oh, actually no, I probably won't do that yet actually. I'm just thinking it might be easiest probably to attach them here first and then attach the other way. Yeah, working out my method as I go. I'm just using a polyester thread which is quite strong, I've found, which is good for the English paper piecing, doing the ladder stitch between them. So I hope you're having a great day. We're having a great day. We went into Bright for another wander around, wandered along the river. Travis has had a few swims already. We went and had some beautiful ice cream before, some lemon sorbet and blood orange, which is homemade just down the road. And then tonight we're going out to dinner at the pub across the road. And our friends who live up here are going to join us for the meal, so that will be lovely, Beck and Adrian. And so Mum and Dad are still up with us as well, and they'll come out to dinner. They're just having an afternoon nap, and I'm having my lovely quiet crafting time. I think Alex is probably just sitting outside, or maybe he's gone for a little wander. Everyone is doing as they please. I like a relaxed holiday. It's been fun watching the Roxy girls. They released their little vlogs from the workshop last week, so it was so lovely reliving some of the laughter and fun, and the yummy fleur slice, and the lovely folks, the lovely other participants, and Fleur and Zoe, and Sarah and Rachel and Juju and Juanette. Just such a pleasure to be in their collective company. So what I'm doing is just doing what's called a ladder stitch, and if you've seen any of my other English paper piecing videos, you basically follow down the inside the seam on one side and then go directly across like the rung of a ladder, and do the same on the other side. So you're really hiding your thread within the seam, and it creates an almost invisible stitch, and it's a stitch that you can kind of tighten up as well, and it gives you a really nice little finish. You could obviously do a whip stitch, but that's a little bit more visible on the piece. You'll want to do them quite small because we're going to be stuffing it, so you want to make sure there's a good bond, so that you don't get any sort of gappy holes. So hopefully you can see, as I say, it's not my usual filming video sort of angle. If anything, I might actually just tilt you down a smidge, because I find I'm going a little bit off screen. And so what I'll show you is, you can see the stitches there, but if I now give the thread a little pull, it will tighten up nicely. And you can see the difference. They were just little whip stitch I started with down here, but where I've done the ladder stitch, you can see it's joined together, and you can't even see the stitches. So I'll keep going. So I'm just popping, let me get rid of that bit of thread that's not part of it. So I'm just popping over to the other side each time. Sorry, I'm just peering past the camera as well, just an extra degree of difficulty for me. So each time just going directly across from where the thread has come out, going back in with the needle, passing the needle up sort of along that edge seam, and just doing it in little chunks. It's a very relaxing thing to do. I was even doing it in the car today, just as we drove into Bright, the sort of 15 or so minutes it takes to get there. And because these shapes aren't huge, it doesn't take too long. And doing the basting with the Yoo-hoo glue is really quick as well, so you can just get a whole batch done in one go, and then let them dry, and then stitch them. The reason I say let them dry is just because otherwise the Yoo-hoo glue might be a bit tacky, but it's even dried in the time that I was kind of yabbering away to you. And I'll show you on this one how to take the Epiplex pieces out. I'm already taking them out of the other half of the egg. And I'll show you how to make the little circle that goes on the top as well. I've made one ahead of time, but I'll do the other one with you, and then we'll stitch together and stuff it. So at this point, before I put an anchoring stitch in, what I do is give the thread a little pull to tighten up, so you get that really nice little seam. So see how nicely it is seamed. If you did end up with any gaps, you can just sort of take the needle back along as well. Sorry, back on camera. Just some little anchoring stitches in the corner wherever I've got a fold of the fabric, because that will just help as you flick the templates out. it will just help to give a firm hold on them. So I'm going to go up to the top and put a little stitch in at the very top. So just do a few over at each corner, so about 2 or 3 to hold each point. Oops, try not to get a knot. And then I'll just pass my needle. So I'm just putting a stitch in down there, down to this corner. Do the same thing. Oops, try not to catch on to the brick. So I'm just going to put some stitches in here. Like this, and then we'll go down here. So I'm just past, and the great thing with the plastic templates, the Epifix, is that the needle doesn't go through them like it would a paper template, so you can very easily just pass your stitches down. So I'll put another stitch in here. Like this. That's Alex back, probably from his walk, back around here. Better for me, I think. That's the dishwasher emptying. All the sounds of the house. Just sitting out in the main living area, looking out on the mountains, and mostly blue sky, just the odd cloud, but definitely warm. Hopefully Melbourne, by the time we get back, won't be stinking hot. I think we've had enough warm weather for now. But yeah, can you believe it's almost Easter? How crazy is that? So I thought I'd better get this done, otherwise I'll get back and be busy, and yeah, won't get to make any Easter crafts, because I thought these can be nice little decorations to hang up. And they don't necessarily have to be for Easter. You could just have them as a decoration in your craft room. They could even be a pincushion as well. I think it'll be easiest to put our 2 pieces together. And we can work out which way we want them to go. I usually have a bit of a look at how the colours are going to mix. Yeah, I think that would work okay. Okay, so first of all we need to pop out the templates out of here. So what I've got is my little bit of bespoke wire, which the lovely Fleur Woods gave us to use with our punch needles. And at home I just use a large wooden knitting needle to run around, but I'm just using this piece of wire because I've got it. It's got a wire with a little loop on the end. And let me just get that in. It's trying to go in under the wrong bit. And just run that around. So we're just loosening up the Yoo-hoo glue. You could of course use your quilting glue, or you could just do the basting just with thread if you preferred. But I like to use the Yoo-hoo because it gives me a good join. And then I just need to run around and loosen up my glue. I think that was the last one that I stuck down, so it's probably just still got a bit more stick in it than it usually does. And then don't worry if it sort of bends in on itself, because we'll be able to straighten it out again once we've pulled our template out. So don't worry if it's done that, because it will go back to shape without a problem. And we'll be then stitching it together, which will also hold it in shape. So at the point I can just give it a little press. Sorry, that was the couch making a squeak, not me. So these ones should come out a bit easier because they've been glued a bit of a while ago, so they'll be already. Oops, dropped my template down as well. So I'm just running it around like this, and then usually I don't have to loosen it that much underneath because there's not that much glue underneath, and then I just flick it out like that and let it straighten out again. I actually wonder if I can even use the template itself to help me loosen it, maybe. Actually, no, I think the edges will probably be too sharp. It's good to have something that's sort of a bit rounded. But yeah, when the glue's had a bit of time to set, it does come away quite easily. Another good reason just to kind of glue them all first and then take them out after that. So just flick them out like this. And just flip them back into shape again. It's just Alex going out on the balcony, on the deck. So again, just loosen it off. It is good just to rest it down on something, makes it a bit easier. Just loosen it like that. It's always good to just get into that top pointed corner. That's Lucy having a scratch now, Lucy dog. And out it comes. Got to improvise when you're on holidays, use the tools you've got. The wire tends to bend a bit as I'm doing it, so it's just an extra degree of difficulty, but it's fine. So what's the weather doing where you are? I think parts of Australia actually have flooding at the moment, and I know in other parts you'll be starting to warm up a bit for your springs and summers ahead. Some of you might be getting your gardens ready for planting out, or maybe you've already got some things in them. Our garden will be totally crispy by the time we get home. I'll just be harvesting some pumpkins that I'd left to sort of dry on the vine. So that's had all its pieces taken out. So let me move those to the side, keep the needle. And we can start stitching our pieces together. Did you hear Travis give a big sigh as he was sleeping? Probably because I leaned on him and he's like, "Mum, stop moving around so much." And hopefully the air conditioner's not making too much noise. But we definitely need it today. So I'm just going to put a knot in my thread. There we go. And then let's grab our two pieces. And what we will start doing is we'll start with, last time I sewed these together I got myself a bit confused and sewed the wrong edge together first of all, but yeah, that's how we want it to go. So we'll start there with that piece along there. So I'm just going to come through on one side. Let me just make sure that I am actually doing it the right way. Hang on, like that. So yes, like that. Like that, like that. It sort of feels a bit counterintuitive laying them that way, so just, yeah, if you're doing it, just kind of work out how they're going to need to sit and then flip them over. I need to angle it down again, just to make sure I stop going off camera. So yeah, I'm just doing the ladder stitch. I won't make you watch the whole thing, I think, because that would get a bit boring, but we'll come back when we, I'll do one more side of it so you get a feel for it. And then I'll go off and stitch it all together. So once I pull my thread here, this is where the ladder stitch is great. It will all tighten up beautifully along that seam and you get a really nice cohesive seam. And so I'll work the next one up there. So again, what I usually do is just look at how it's going to make sure I get the right bit stitched together. And so I then flip it over and my next stitch will be along this bit here. And so I'll start by just putting a few anchoring stitches in now that it's nice and tight after that last bit. So I usually do these little anchoring stitches at each end. And then I can do my ladder stitch again. So I'll just turn it this direction. For some reason I find it easier to work ladder stitch like sort of to the left, not sure why. So I'm just going to, again, just pop my needle in, sort of run it a few little distance up the seam, try not to catch the rest of the piece, and then pop over to the other side and do the same on the other side. So yeah, once you've got your two sides together, it's pretty easy as long as you just do that lining up. You might be better at doing those sort of 3D alignments in your own head. But I find I just need to put the pieces together and see how it's going to sit. Otherwise I'd probably end up mis-stitching like the first time I did my prototype. So it's just going in on a strange angle in the seam there, so I'll just reline myself up. Need to probably mind just pulling it so the two corners come together a bit better. Just get it so that that's lined up. And then again, once I've finished that little row, I pull the thread to get a nice tight seam, as you can see there. And then I can just put a few little stitches in to hold that little corner in place, in that place. So just, ouch. I managed to stab myself with my needle in my stomach before I'd rested my needle down on it, and then I think I was just saying to Alex what a lovely calm afternoon it was, and then ouch, I might have said another word as well. So that is those two bits together. So we're just going to keep working our way around exactly the same way all the way around, but I'll do it off camera so you don't get bored. And once I get to the other end, I'll come back and we can start to put it fully together. But just same theory, each of these seams, stitching it together. So I'll be back in a little bit. So I've finished stitching my two pieces together down that seam down there. And when you do that, you should have something that looks like a little Easter egg that can open up. So we will then finish putting a seam down here, and we'll put our little circle pieces, we'll make one of them together for the end of it, and then we'll put those on it. So let's first of all, let's make our second little circle piece. So what I've done is cut out 3 pieces of felt that I kind of make them about the size of just slightly larger than the top of the Easter egg, and then I'm just putting some stitches through it, and I'll just bring the thread back to the bottom, and then I'm just going to cut a fabric to go roughly in a circle around it, so using half a bit of a charm square like that. Like that, and then stitch. And you could do a little Suffolk puff here. I'm just going to stitch around to stitch it onto the felt and gather it in. And if I sort of work my way around, I don't even have to put little tucks on it. I'll just get it to gather around. It's a beautiful warm afternoon here. It's quite humid, so it feels warmer than it actually is. Still in Alpine Victoria, but warm Alpine Victoria. And Travis can't decide if he wants to be outside with us or inside in the air-conditioned comfort. He's decided he wants to be in the air-conditioned comfort. Alex is enjoying the deck with me. So looking forward to a nice dinner cooked by the pub tonight. Probably a chicken parma, that's our traditional pub meal. Chicken parmigiana, so crumbed chicken topped with like a pasta type sauce, like a red pasta type sauce, like a marinara, I guess. And then marinara, is that something? Is that a fish sauce? No, it's just like a tomato based topping, and then cheese on the top, usually mozzarella. We had an unusual one when we were staying in the Southern Highlands and went to the Baringa. Was it Baringa, babe? Where we're staying? Yep, I get a nod. They put salami on theirs, which was something we've not had on a parma before. And Alex's good friend will be joining us for dinner. Unfortunately, his partner Beck can't join us. She's hurt her knee. You can hear the birds. I don't know if they're ducks of some sort. It's very, very noisy. So tomorrow we head back to Melbourne, but hopefully we'll be back here again sometime soon. Basically it looks like that, and then I'll get a new bit of thread. Oh no, that thread should be okay to get me most of the way up, hopefully. And I'll stitch my way up from the bottom, so I'll just pop here. I'm just going to do as we were before, just following up a few little distance inside the seam and then popping across to the other side directly from where your thread is come out. So I might even just hold the two edges together like that. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just trying to not jiggle the table. So I'm just going to be using some sort of wadding I got from the reverse art truck as my stuffing, but you could use just a cotton wool or whatever stuffing material you like, and make it as firm or as soft as you like it. I was thinking originally they might not even need stuffing, but I think they're nice to be stuffed so they puff out and really get that eggy shape. I actually think the air conditioning unit jiggles the deck a little bit because I don't think I'm moving the camera stands on another little table out here, but it's jiggling a bit. Last night I thought I felt an earthquake while I was sitting. I think I was watching Sarah and Rachel's videos from the wonderful retreat that we were on. It was just so lovely to relive those memories. Very happy week creating together, and with the lovely Fleur Woods and in the beautiful, beautiful space that Zoe has created. It's fabulous. That Green Door Studios. So as you can see, when you do the ladder stitch and give it a nice little pull, it forms a really nice seam. So again, I'll just line these two pieces here up against each other. A holding stitch in there. After you've kind of tightened your ladder stitch, it's good to give it a little holding stitch to hold it nice. I think that's what the English paper pieces do in each of their sort of little anchoring points. As I say, I'm a bit of a self-taught English paper piecer, and I've really only ever used the Epiflex templates, because once I discovered those, I was hooked. They just make it really, really easy to do. Thought it was going to be quite an intimidating craft, but once I started with them, I was like, no, this is definitely doable. And then to be able to come up with something like this, a shape that I've come up with entirely myself, a non-traditional use of the Dresden plate, I think it's called. That the sort of pointy, I think it's pointy Dresden plate. I don't know if there's a Dresden plate that doesn't have a point on it. I'm sure some of my commenters will be able to tell me those that are more expert in the craft of English paper piecing. Okay, so again, I will just pull my thread nice and tight to get a nice seam. The ends, and then because you've seen the finished product, and you'll be able to. And at this point, you could actually, if you want to leave yourself a bit more room for stuffing, although I did find I was able to stuff it through the circular end, but you could definitely stop now and do the stuffing and then just do the final seam if you found it easier. Again, and I might do that actually, it probably will be even easier for me too, so I'm just going to tighten up that seam, and I'll just put a little stitch through it in that end there. I could do the same ladder stitch, or I can just put some little whip stitches around the top. Probably just do the whip stitches because it'll be a smidge quicker. So I'm just picking up a tiny bit of the fabric from the shape and a tiny bit from the circle. And just holding it in place while I do it. And as I say, you can have it slightly more popping out, or you can kind of sink it into the end, depending on the look that you're after. Okay. As per usual, unthreaded, so we will re-thread the needle. And we'll just come around here. Almost around. There we are. And then you can just do a little stitch to finish off, put a knot in place. I'll just do another one just to make sure it's secure. Okay, Okay, and then actually I'll secrete the end back into the piece. So if I pull the thread through, chop it off, and then pull my needle through, and that will leave the end inside. And then it's ready for stuffing, and then you can just do the same at this end and just stitch around on that, and you'll end up with an Easter egg. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye.